Okay, we're live.
Hello, everyone. I am dressed for the occasion. Oh, I can't even see my shirt.
There you go.
Holland.
Proud Dutch. Dutch are pretty proud, aren't they? They're very.
Yeah. At least I am. I think most Dutch people probably are.
Well, I think most nations are. Although Australians aren't that proud, I think, because we're a young country, and the more multicultural it is. Yeah, I'm not sure. Hey, Peg.
Oh, yeah, we are excited for our trip. Yeah. The time difference? Well, it will be, I think it's kind of the same as in Holland. There's probably like maybe 1 hour difference or something with Spain between Holland. So it will be like
Minor.
8 to 10 hours difference or something like that.
Yeah.
They're only rude if you do something stupid or dumb.
Related to this, are Dutch people rude?
Well, let's get into it. This is a fun topic, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a cultural difference as well. But I said before, there's a lot of the Dutch directness did a lot for me to know exactly you the way you are. Like, you're very direct, you don't play games. So that went a long way into actually me getting to know you very quickly and understanding who you are. So that's that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, you say what you mean. You don't say left when you mean right. You know, you're not polite for politeness sake, but you're happy to stay in indirectness. Like, you're not like that. And I don't think Dutch people are either. Whenever you watch videos online, just look up Dutch, you know, those little clips and stuff. It's always about Dutch being direct and being seen as rude.
Well, to answer the question, we are definitely very direct. And I think we can come across rude with people that are not Dutch sometimes. Like, obviously, we can also be rude sometimes, but usually we're just very direct. But I think what I notice a lot, like here in Australia, is that I'm not being rude, but sometimes I feel like I'm being rude just because I'm not talking to a Dutch person. So I might say something about something, like at work, for example, and then I don't get the same directness back. And then I feel like, oh, did I say something wrong? But whereas if I would be talking to a Dutch person, then I would just get the same thing back. So that's fine. You know what I mean? So sometimes I think we're just being direct, but it might come across differently when it's not a Dutch person that I'm talking to.
Do you also find that with Dutch people, when you speak, they're not just waiting for their turn to talk, they're listening to you and they'll respond. Like, if you're asking them a direct question, they'll respond directly rather than you say you're talking about a topic and then just going, They're being polite and like nodding, and then they're just going to talk. The communication is different as well because of the directness versus indirectness. Do you know what I mean?
Well, probably a little bit, just because if you are both very direct, you're not just going to be talking about BS. And I feel like Dutch people, we also value our time a lot, so we're not going to be hanging around if the conversation is boring.
I feel like when you're overly polite and indirectly polite and you dance around a lot, you do this really polite dance, and people just feel good in that polite dance. Whereas if you're kind of like, yeah, where did you buy that top? And Dutch people would be like, well, I bought it at this store. Whereas Westerners would be like, oh my God, I love this top. Oh, let me tell you the story. It's like, no, I don't want to hear the story. Just tell me where you bought the top.
Yeah.
Would you find that Dutch people don't tell you a story? If you ask them a question, they'll give you the answer and they won't tell you the story of how they...
Well, I think all of those different things also have to do with personality. But of course, if a society is very direct, then everything is going to be a bit more direct. So sure, it probably has an influence on that as well.
Where do you think it comes from in your culture?
I'm not sure, but I did read, because I'm doing a lot of research for my lessons for next year, that I think because of trading that we used to do, it started there. Like, we needed to be very direct with that. And that's where that kind of came from and grew, I think.
When the the Dutch were all over the world back when they were before England, when they were going all over the world in their ships. They were used to being very direct then.
Yeah, I don't know much about that history, but that's kind of something that I remember that I read recently. So that might be why. The Western world should learn more about directness. Yeah. I really like directness because it just saves a lot of time. Directness avoids confusion. That's also true. You just get straight to the point, say what it is.
I would guess that in Holland, the Dutch, you'd never hear the phrase someone getting upset and saying, well, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. The Dutch would never say that. Because that's a very common thing that we roll our eyes with in the West, where someone's accurate in what they say, but people are like, well, you're right, but that's kind of very blunt and cold and unfeeling, but like it's correct, you know?
Yeah, and also like obviously we can go into rudeness as well. Like sometimes we can be rude as well. Like for example, I remember at work, like in Holland, at my old job, I remember like in Holland in meetings, we're all very direct with each other. Something else about Dutch people is that in companies and stuff, we don't really have like a hierarchy. We treat each other very similarly, like we're on the same line. So in meetings and everything, we can be very direct with each other, also towards the leader and things like that. But I remember one time when a colleague of mine, he kind of went off on the leader a bit too much, where he was like being rude. So obviously we can also be rude, but yeah, usually we're just very direct, I would say.
I would say with that directness, you develop a thicker skin. I'm thinking about it. I think about how there's some of the stuff that I care too much about. I care about stuff I shouldn't. I'm like growing up in the West, what people think, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. All these kind of dancing around sensitivities. And growing up raised in Holland, and directness is just normal. It's like breathing. You develop a thicker skin. So whenever you and I have talked about our past experiences in life, situations, relationships and stuff, your experience, the way you reflect on them, is a lot more, well, that happened and that's the way it is and then I moved on. It's very direct. It's very matter of fact. And with me, it's like I'm always like trying to, but why? And like getting philosophical about it. And you're just like, no, it is. It's 1 + 1 = 2 and you move on. And it's just very, very objective and direct, and it makes sense. And there's no emotional wheel that keeps going on about it, you know? So I think that maybe the benefit of being so direct, sometimes even cold or clinical about it, you just develop a thicker skin with what doesn't matter, because it either is accurate, what someone says, and your feelings, yeah, you might have some feelings about it, but if it's not actually rude, the person's not trying to be mean, they're just stating a fact, then you'd never get used to taking it the wrong way. You know, your emotions don't overwhelm you as much in everyday life.
I think that the main reason why Dutch people like being direct is just to constantly clarify things. Because if you're not direct and you're not asking the right questions, then things are vague, you know? Like when I don't understand something at work, I'll ask questions until I understand it. Or if something bothers me, then I'll say it until it's fixed or whatever. Because if you don't address things, then it's always going to be vague and there's always going to be things floating in the air around you. And that's going to make you very uncomfortable. So.
Yeah. I know that I touched on it before, but all of my frustrations in the past with dating, you don't have, because you have that directness about you. Whatever I ask, you give me the straight answer. It's never, well, when a woman says this, she means this. And you read the signs, and the signs should mean this, but you never quite know. You have to really pay attention to some other signs. It's like, no, I just ask you and you tell me. And you want that communication.
Yeah, but it's funny because I am very direct also with you, but then sometimes you do think that I should watch how I talk a little bit, because I may come across a bit harsh. But I think that's also because you're not Dutch. I think if Because if I'm very blunt, I'm used to doing that with, like in Holland and stuff. But even with you, and I feel it too because I don't get it back, and then I feel like, oh, I should have said that a bit differently, maybe. So that's really a cultural thing.
Yeah. You're kind of trying to meet halfway, and at times, like, one of us doesn't go all the way, and it's kind of like, oh, it's the cultural thing. It's what I'm used to.
Yeah, but it's also weird to me still. Like, I'm still getting used to it, because if you say something, like we had this the other day, and I'm like, oh, I actually don't agree at all, because I think this and this and this. And to me, that's just normal conversation. But then when I don't get the same thing back, then I feel like, oh, was I too harsh or something? Well, I wouldn't feel like that when talking to a Dutch person, for example.
Yeah, there's also the thing about intimacy. Like, you can have a very different objective opinion and have a distant conversation with a stranger, and it's fine. But when it's intimate, you expect to be on the same page. And sometimes when we're not on the same page, it's different to just being direct. It's being direct, but also the other person might need clarification when it's an intimate setting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I find that a bit more difficult, I think. Because I think I see that a bit more separately, maybe. Is Western Australia more direct?
I have no idea.
Than what?
Then maybe he's asking me, is Western Australia more direct than the rest of Australia? I don't know, actually. I've never seen the difference.
I've never been anywhere else.
I've never really known a Western Australian, or I've never heard about that.
Dutch dating app is called Direct. Oh, really?
No. See,
is he
this
joking?
is you being literal and direct. He's probably joking. Yeah. Forget the fancy restaurants. Let's go to McDonald's.
Yes.
Does Steph being a teacher contribute to her directness?
Contribute to my directness. Do
you think it helps you being Dutch, like being direct and literal and stuff in your teaching? Or do you think other teachers from the West have an easier time teaching, but you as a Dutch person have a harder time teaching because of your directness?
No, but his question's kind of the other way around. Does being a teacher contribute to my directness? Anyway, I'll answer it
being a teacher, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know about that, but me being direct does help with my teaching, I feel like.
Yeah, because you get to the...
Yeah, I get to the point, and when I address students, I'm very direct. Then I get stuff done faster, I feel like. So, yeah.
That's one thing I've learned from you as well. Like, even in conversation, I love talking around the topic, and you'll, in a direct way, bring me back, and you'll be like, yeah, but I want to answer the question of this. And, like, I won't answer a question directly, or I will, but first I want to talk around it, and then I lose myself. I go somewhere else, and you bring it back to, no, we were talking about this.
Yeah.
So...
She teaches directness.
Yeah, I don't know what that... Human is direct with pasta. I was just talking about that the other day, that I'm probably I think my best dish that I make is pasta. I've always been good at making pasta, but you think...
I think it's scrambled eggs.
She likes my scrambled eggs.
Because he makes it like the hotels make it, like with cream and...
The fluffy
eggs.
Prince Revolver, he says... To be honest, I think it's Western society that avoids being direct. I agree. Everyone has to walk on eggshells and deny reality. And you look at all the stuff people are annoyed about, like all the wokeness, it's all just made up stuff. How I feel, I make up my gender, I make up this, like they just keep shifting. There's no direct grammar that everyone can agree on. It's always like you have to ask every person, well... Who are you? How do you feel? How do I address you? It's always vague.
But I think that a lot of people, also foreigners, probably do appreciate Dutch people being very direct, even if maybe they think it's rude in the beginning, because at least we're being honest. And I saw this in a video yesterday, which I really agree with. Like, because Dutch people are always very direct, if they actually give you a compliment, then you also know that it's true, that they actually mean it.
Yeah.
And it's just not just like the American way of, oh my God, you look great or whatever. Like we actually mean it, you know? So that's
Yeah,
good.
like the other day, you know, whenever we have like a moment where you're talking about something and I'm thinking something different, but we don't know it yet, the bit of awkwardness, like we clarify and we talk and it's easy to clarify because we're direct. You know, you're more direct than me. And whereas other people in the West who are used to being indirect, they always like dance around and they can always feel a distance between them. They can never resolve anything. They can never get on the same page. But because we want to be direct, we want to get on the same page and see things the same way. Directness is the only way you can do that. So I think that's really good. You know? Terry Dean says, it was a culture shock, a good one with the directness when I worked in the Netherlands. What I loved about it compared to the UK is with the directness, we got things done with no fakeness involved. I think that's why Dutch people are very efficient. Whenever people go to Holland, you watch videos, people are impressed by how simple, straightforward things are. It shouldn't, with such a small country with so many people in it, it's still efficient. Things make sense. There's a really good balance of things. And I think the directness really contributes. Imagine Dutch people were as vague as the West. You wouldn't have a good country.
Yeah, it will be very different.
No idea. Walking on eggshells is the worst. Dutch parents are very direct with their kids.
Yeah, I would say so.
A Dutch broker is very direct with price.
What kind of question is that? What do you mean?
How have you seen, like, when you go shopping, stores, clerks, like when it's about price and like, is there any haggling or is it like, no, it's $2?
In stores?
Yeah, like things to do with money and price.
No, of
things.
course not. In what stores can you negotiate about the price? That's only on like on markets. In markets on like in tourist countries, when you're outside and you've got those markets, that's where you do that. Not in stores.
I've hated that. Going when I went to Thailand, you're expected to haggle. And like if there's a price, you're supposed to go, oh, it's $8. Oh, I'll give you $7. No, $7.25. Oh, $7.50. Like you're supposed to do that dance, that indirect dance. It's kind of like, see, I think a lot of people who love that haggling and indirectness and reading signs, it makes them feel good that you're both doing this kind of vague emotional dance around a topic.
Yeah, but if you don't enjoy it, then they just tell you how much it is and you pay and that's it. So you don't have to do it. If you like it, then you can do it. But
I'm talking general, not just about money, but in the West, like the indirectness of dating and socializing and stuff, where you have to dance in this, you feel this kind of anxiety because you never quite know what the other person means, and you're both playing this polite game. Like say you go on a date, you both go on the date, you want to be there, but you're not quite sure if they like you, if you like them, who's going to pay, what do they want to do? I can't ask them about kids or religion because that's rude. So you avoid all the direct topics on a date, for instance, and you talk about, well, so how...
on a date?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not avoiding anything on a date.
Me neither, but like generally with the West, it's always like there's a list of things you don't talk about.
Yeah, but that's the choice.
But you know what I mean? Like we're taught that a lot of things are rude and inappropriate to be direct about because you don't know the person yet. But then when you go on a date, you don't want to waste time. You don't want to...
Yeah, but that's different. On a date, you should be able to ask whatever you want to ask. In a workplace, that's a very different scenario.
It's about work, yeah. It's really not about your personal life.
Yeah, but also at work, you're not necessarily going to ask someone a very personal question. But on a date, that's a very different context. On a date, you should be able to ask anything you want to ask. If you feel like that's your choice. If you feel like, oh, I can't ask this, then that's on you. Like, that's your choice.
Yeah, I agree, but the culture tells you, haven't you heard? A lot of times in the West, it's like there's certain things you don't ask in certain settings.
Yeah, but that's...
your choice still.
Yeah. That doesn't mean that you have to listen to that.
Sure. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. The most direct country in Europe.
Knows.
Well, it may be because that's the thing you always hear about Holland.
Yeah,
I've never heard that about other countries, so...
Yeah, like think about it. Holland's stereotype is you guys are direct or rude. Like you're just very
Yeah.
direct, and it's kind of you've got to get used to that. Especially the Americans, I notice in videos, they're the
Yeah.
ones that always get the biggest shock between the US and Holland. So I would say out of the countries in the world, from what I've seen, is that Holland, the Netherlands is on one side of being very direct and not caring about your feelings, and the American is all about your feelings, and then reality and directness can kind of wait until the end, until people feel better.
Yeah. Like, it's not that we don't care about people's feelings, but we don't see being direct as hurting someone's feelings. It's just being direct and honest. And obviously, sometimes, like, there are sensitive situations where we won't be as direct, obviously, because we don't want to hurt people's feelings. But yeah, I don't know. With most things, I think you can just be direct.
Here's a question: do I think that you are rude or direct?
Well, do you want to answer, or shall I? Or do you want me to answer?
You answer first.
I think you definitely think I'm direct.
Yes,
Very direct.
very much.
And I think that you think sometimes I can be a bit rude.
Yes, that's what I was
Yeah.
going to say. Depending on the context and situation, but generally, it's the big reason I married you, because you're very clear, and I know what I get. When you say something, you mean it. Like your directness is actually your belief system, your morals, your ethics. It's not politeness,
Yeah, and then sometimes I can also be very blunt, where I just say something that I'm thinking. Like yesterday in the supermarket, you remember?
Yeah. But even there, you catch yourself. See, your bluntness is like, blah, blah, blah. There's no filter. And then you go, oh, oh, that came off as a bit,
Yeah.
So even your no filter directness, sometimes like you go to 10 and it's like, well, you don't need to be that.
Yeah. And then sometimes also when I feel very comfortable in situations, I can be more blunt and I can say what I think too quickly.
Yeah, but also that's kind of a natural, comfortable thing. Like the more comfortable you are in a situation with people, you can come across blunt. Think about how many times you're with your closest friends and you might say an inappropriate joke with your friends. And sometimes you might have a bit of that comfort level out in public with people. And it's like, ooh, that's my mode when I'm with my closest friends or with someone who gets me 100%. But that came across as a bit too blunt or a bit too rude or harsh. These people don't know me that well, and obviously I can see how it might come across as rude.
Yeah, it's like you have to find a good balance, I feel like.
Yeah, you've got to be socially aware, but the thing is you're not very social, so that's I think where it kicks you in the butt. If you're a social person and Dutch, you wouldn't have a problem, because you would be used to tact, but you're not a social person. And so tact isn't something you've necessarily got, and you're Dutch, so sometimes it can kick you in the butt.
Yeah.
As a millennial, it gets frustrating being around other millennials that try to fit in with how passive Gen Zs. Yeah. Do you think Gen Z is very based or very woke?
Who's Gen Z?
2000s, is it? It's not the current young generation, the ones before it, the early 2000s.
So how old are they now?
Actually, I don't know. Look it up. Late 90s, early 2000s. 2000. And early 2010s. Okay.
Is that me then? Am I Gen Z then?
No. Born between. So just after you.
Okay, after me.
So after you, but before the very young people now.
Okay.
So young adults, like people who are between 20s and 30s now.
Oh yeah, then probably, because that's like the people that are going crazy in America now, right? The woke people.
Yeah.
So probably.
Yeah. Born in between this and this year. I don't know. Whenever people kind of get very scientific about social stuff, like, are women going to do this, or are they all like this? Do men like? It's like, yeah, generally, but I know I'm very different in that context, or you're very different as a woman in that context. Gen Z wouldn't last an hour with 3 third graders with on the playground. Terry Dean said, I found Dutch women were also direct if they're interested in you.
Oh, yeah.
It happened a few times when I was there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was actually refreshing. Not just that you're direct, but I knew you liked me. Mm-hmm. And when you talked, you didn't avoid certain topics. And what you don't like, you're very, you tell me what you don't like. You tell me what you do like, whether it's me or another person or...
Yeah, I think here again, it kind of comes back that Dutch people, I feel like we don't want to waste time. So we are direct. And also, like, we don't want to wait around for a guy to come up to us. Like, we'll just do it ourselves. And I feel that also has to do with not wanting to waste time.
I kind of like it because it's not... Western guys would say, well, the woman's taking the masculine role. But I don't see it as that. It's like if you notice a guy you like first, he might not have noticed you first. You notice him. And so you're just direct. Like, I like him. I want to talk to him. You'll start talking, but as soon as you make contact, you'll still be the girl and he'll be the guy. You still like the masculine, feminine thing, but it's just, you're not going to passively sit there playing a game going, I really like him. I want to talk to him, but I'm going to play this passive game where I want him to come up to me and magically sweep me off my feet. No, like, if I like him, I'll talk to him. You just go from... The direct point from A to B. You want B, go to B.
Yeah, but also in Holland, I feel like we are a bit more equal the way that we are in relationships. Like, we still have like the man and the woman role and stuff, but in America, especially. Oh, did my voice?
It was funny. No.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, really? Okay, America. But in America, especially after the red pill stuff, that's really been like. Overdreven.
Okay, so overdreven.
Exaggerated.
Yep.
Yeah. Amsterdam, Hague, Rotterdam, which is most direct? Oh, I don't know. I've never lived there in those cities. So I don't know if there are actually cities where people are more direct than other cities. I actually don't know that. I think we're all pretty direct, probably.
I would say Amsterdam would be less direct simply because it's more of a multicultural city. You get a whole bunch of different people.
Oh, probably, yeah.
So I would say Amsterdam would be the least direct, but I also don't know about the others. The Hague, that's where you've got the court. I would say that's more strict. So isn't Rotterdam more of a tech city? Like business tech?
I know that there's like a lot of havens there, like big havens where the ships arrive and stuff. I'm pretty sure that's in Rotterdam.
Human, you mentioned talking to others takes skill and practice. Most people will spend all of their time trying to cultivate skills in every area of life except with relationships. Yeah. That's true. It's also recognizing, like, look, where do I have problems? Where am I always... like running into, and it's with relationships with, with women and social situations where these games are being played, and you realize that you're trying to be more direct and accurate and solve these problems socially and talk directly and improve your speech and how you ask questions and how you listen, and you realize others don't. They're just playing these vague emotional games where they just dance around stuff.
Yeah, but look, I think that if you're direct, it's a really, really good trait to have. Because, like, I've talked about relationships a lot and my exes and everything. And being direct is just a really good skill to have in relationships. Because you don't... Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because I was, like, talking around the subject and you went straight to the point. And I'm thinking Stephanie's solution to everything is like, yeah, all of that's true, but it's your own fault. Like,
no, yeah, but I'm actually not saying it's your own fault, but I'm saying, like, if you are a direct person, that will really help you in relationships.
Yeah.
Because especially when you hear about stories where people just stay in bad relationships and they don't talk about the issues and everything. If you're a very direct person, then you filter all of that bullshit out because you're direct and you get straight to the point.
Yeah. And directness is also what makes sense.
Yeah, and if you're being direct, but the other person is like avoiding stuff and everything, than like, okay, there's the door and I'm on to the next one. Like, you just don't tolerate that stuff. And I'm just saying that will really help you to not waste time in relationships, I think. Yeah.
Did I touch on this at the start of the stream or before we started the stream, where I talked about your directness contributing to getting over certain things? Remember? Like, it's actually a good trait. Like, say, death, loss, the directness of, it is what it is, and now there's one way to move on. Like, it's not like, but I feel like this, but I want something else. I want three things at once, and I'm in the middle, and I can't decide. Directness is like, well, you got to choose one. Directness is,
Yeah, that's like, you've named a few things where I feel like directness will probably have a little bit of an influence on that, but it's mostly about your own personality and how you deal with things. So that's probably it. Because there are also a lot of other factors there, of course, especially dealing with loss. That also depends on your personality.
That's true.
And everything.
Yeah. But if you're used to indirectness and dancing around things in general life, then I'd say that when there's something big like loss and trauma and whatever, you will deal with things that way again, and it'll be even harder for you.
Yeah, and that's where of course there is a part of being direct that will help with that, because you'll have more of a mentality of, okay, this happened, it's horrible, time to move on, let's go and do this and this and this. So like that direct mentality that can help with that, of course. But then of course there's also other parts of like your personality, who it was that died, like other circumstances. Yeah. Yeah, again, I feel like this will probably have a little bit of an influence on being honest, but it is also probably mostly dependent on your own personality, of course. Yeah, so directness, I feel like it has an influence on a lot of different things, but of course, most things come down to your personality. Yeah, because you could be a direct Dutch person, but lie a lot, or, so that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to always tell the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, someone who's not a nice person can be direct and then excuse it as being someone who's, they can be rude, but excuse it as being direct. Yeah,
but I do think that probably most people, most direct people in Holland, we are truthful. And because we are direct, the purpose is to not waste time and to be honest and to get to the point. So, yeah, I do feel like that has a big influence also on, like, we're very honest. I feel like that is true, yeah.
Yeah. Your personality really does have a factor in, like, socially. Someone can say, come on to you, and you can politely say no, or you can rudely say no. And both people can say, well, I'm just being direct. I'm being honest. But there's a way of being direct, and there's a way of being honest as well.
Yeah, then they're both direct, but one's just nice and one isn't so nice.
Yeah. But each person can say, well, I gave an honest answer. Like, yeah, but if you're, and this is the gray area, because you can be direct and nice and you're not dancing around the subject still. Whereas you can be direct and rude and still say, well, or direct, blunt, and it can come across rude. Because sometimes a person can appreciate directness more like me, whereas another person, it's not that you need to sugarcoat it for them, it's that they need it clarified with a bit more social tact to fully understand where you're coming from. Whereas I might appreciate the short version, the direct short version. Another person doesn't appreciate or understand the direct short version. They want a direct longer version. So rather I might appreciate you tell me in 3 or 5 words direct, like I want an answer, and you make it clear and I appreciate it. Another person needs like a whole sentence to understand. And so you might say, well, they want me to dance around the topic. No, they need more clarification in the expression of their answer,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it depends on who it is then.
Yeah.
And whether or not I want to put that effort in, I guess.
But that's laziness too. But also your personality type.
Yeah, and how much I care about the person, I guess.
Western culture is a lot more facade and culture of avoidance. Yeah, well, think of it this way. In the West, I think everyone can agree there's like this epidemic of mentally broken people and people on, therapy, self-help, medication, all this stuff. And I would say that if the culture was more direct, you'd have less self-help books, you'd have less therapy, you'd have less, Wouldn't you think?
But what that's got to do with discipline? What's that got to do with directness?
If you're a more direct, like the Western culture is less direct and they dance around things and they're vague and they play games. And then you look at, we've got the highest amount of like therapy, emotional issues, people dressing up in multiple colors and pretending to be this and that. And we don't know what a man and a woman is. Like, it's just a circus. No one knows what up and down is, right? Whereas you got a culture like Holland where they're very direct. A man is still a man, a woman is still a woman, up is down, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sort of, it paints, it gives a certain feeling to the culture, a certain stability. Whereas the indirectness of the West and the free-for-all and anything can be anything and we don't know what anything means and you can make it up. That indirectness and the game playing, it produces a lot of that other bad stuff.
All right. Yeah, we're skipping a few.
Okay. Yeah, but some of them we're going to have to read anyway. If women approached, they could get almost anything they wanted. True. But also there are some women who know they're attractive and then they could get every man, so they don't really need to approach.
Yeah, that's true if they would approach every man. But women don't want every man. They want specific men.
But even the men that they won't approach them. That's the problem.
In America, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, but then that's on you also. I should write a book. That's on you. It's on you. Everything's your fault.
Steph gives Patrice O'Neill vibes.
Who is that again? I know the name.
The black comedian. You actually didn't. I showed you a few clips. The big one, who's dead now.
Yeah, because he was kind of gross or something. He was making like really gross sex jokes or something.
Yeah.
I
think I like his directness, but I think he does real guy humor. And sometimes it's a bit crude and whatever.
Now, I like directness, but I just remember I was like, like it was just gross.
I wonder if we're thinking about the same guy. I think we are.
Yeah, it was a black comedian. We watched like a stand-up thing.
Yeah, he was big, had a big leather jacket.
Yeah, I think I know which one you mean.
Melee, I am very direct. Cool, good.
Dutch prenups are very direct. I have no idea. Because I've only ever considered marriage once I met Bobby.
But Dutch wouldn't have a problem with prenups, I wouldn't think. Like if you said like, I want a prenup, I've got a lot of money and I'm just worried, I've had a bad experience in my part, I want to get money off the table, babe.
I will say that they're probably much more level-headed than American women. That I will say. But I have no idea about prenups in Holland.
But I would say a Dutch woman would be more practically minded about a prenup if it made practical sense, whereas a US woman would just be all emotional and get offended. No matter how you would try to explain, like, look, babe, I love you, but I need you to sign a prenup because of this. No matter how much logic you try to explain to the US woman, she would just be offended.
You know, I may be completely wrong about this because I have no idea. But I don't feel like people in Holland talk about prenups or get prenups. Because I feel like our mentality about living together and marriage is completely different from how American people think about that.
But how do you think, just speculate with, say, a Dutch woman, she falls for a guy from the US with all the stuff going on there, and he's really like, yeah, I want to be with you, and I've got this business and I want to keep things separate. I've been screwed over by women before. Yeah,
that's different. If a Dutch woman and an American man would date, then I feel like then the woman would probably like understand his side.
Yeah.
Because Dutch women are independent, we have no problem taking care of ourselves. And like we would think that was fair probably. But I was talking about a Dutch woman and a Dutch man. They probably wouldn't even discuss a prenup.
No, I don't think so.
Because the mentality is different. I feel like in America, when two people get together, it's more like we have to discuss a prenup because I don't know if you're going to screw me over. And in Holland, we don't discuss a prenup because we are two people becoming a team and we are going to work together to create a future. And I don't know, it would be weird to talk about a prenup, I think, because then you're already talking about if things go wrong or something. It's already like you don't trust each other.
I think also because with you, for instance, I know exactly what you are like, your character and your morals, and it never changes. And you're very direct, and you're stubbornly you. And so everything I got to know, I think, whereas with America, because it's so vague and they're indirect, you don't know what the personality of your partner is going to be like if you hit rough waters or if you break up. You don't know if your partner now that you love, what's their personality going to be like later. Whereas I feel like with Dutch people, they're just constant and direct. They don't change. And so that's why you don't talk about prenups. It's like, why? Like, I'm this person now. If anything happened in the future, I'm still going to be the same person. Yeah,
like I understand it if in America, with American men, I understand why they would want to have a prenup. But that's because those women are completely different. But in Holland, I feel like that doesn't really happen much.
Okay, so the question here, I think I did a thing. Direct versus rude, what's the difference between it?
Well, there is an obvious difference. Direct is just being direct, and rude is being rude. Yeah, I know I'm not explaining it at all.
Well, it looks like Sam's being rude and Peg's deleting him. Thanks, Peg. So someone's being rude. So go ahead.
I think direct is just saying what you think, but not being rude. And rude is like you're crossing a line, and now you're unnecessarily being too blunt in a way where you're maybe insulting the other person.
I think the easiest definition is directness is you should always be direct, but the difference between direct and rude is when you communicate, you're aware of who you're communicating it to. So when I talk to you, I don't soften it to throw away the message. Like if I want to communicate to you and tell you a truth, a direct message, I don't throw away the truth of the message just to make you feel okay. If I'm going to say something to you, the point is to say the thing to you, but I'm aware of who I'm saying it to. So when I say it to you, I package it in a way that's still 100% true, but that I'm aware of how it's being delivered. So it's direct, true, but I'm not just like blind, like I don't care how I throw it at you. I think that's rude, where you don't care, you just throw it at the person, you don't give a shit how it lands. Like obviously someone who's morbidly obese and you're talking about weight, you just throw a direct...
Eat a carrot.
Yeah, like go to the gym, you fat fuck, or something like, you know what I mean? Like it's like kind of have a bit of tact, or, you know, when you lower your language when someone comes from overseas and they can't speak English well, you have a sense of who you're talking to. You adjust your language so you can communicate. So good communication is still being direct, but packaging it for who you're communicating to. That's tact. Whereas certain people is like, nah, this is just who I am and I don't give a shit how they accept it or if it hits them in the face. That's rude.
Yeah, be considerate of the person you're talking to a certain degree, though. Because I don't want to go into territory where I start speaking like an American.
No, you don't want to start lying and giving no when you mean yes.
Not even lying, but also like sugarcoating stuff too much or talking around things too much. I also don't like that because I am proud of my directness and my Dutchness.
Yeah, but then I go back to what I said before. You can be direct, but the other person still needs a bit more context. Like you might want to say it in 3 words and it comes off as blunt and rude because the person doesn't know you. But if you said it in a sentence, then you would clarify your honest message. So say, for instance, someone, it happened to us, I think, like when you first came here, where I think one of my family members, they made something and they said like, "Oh, do you like it?" And you're like, "No, like I don't like it."
Do you remember what it was?
I can't remember, but it was something about food. They offered food, and like you tasted it, and you're like, "No, I don't like it." And it wasn't because they're a bad cook. You just don't like that food. And it might seem like, "No, I don't like it. I don't like this food or something." It's kind of like, "Oh, okay, the person understands the context of your directness."
Yeah, but I don't like the food. That's something where, why does that need to be sugarcoated? I'm not saying you're the worst cook in the world. I'm not saying you're a horrible person. I'm just saying that I don't like the food. It's not for me.
Yeah, but see, it's not for you. Like, the person doesn't know if they don't know you well.
Yeah, but even if I go, yeah, it's okay, I'm lying. I don't want to lie. No, but I don't know. I'm just giving you an honest answer. I'm not saying it in a bad way or being rude. I'm just saying that I don't like it.
Yeah, I've noticed this with you. Like, I'm used to women from the West and thinking, being overly polite.
Vegemite is disgusting.
Hey, remember your Dutch thing? That nothing tops. Vegemite tastes like ambrosia. Vegemite tastes like the sweetest thing compared to your Dutch treat. There's this.
He tried Dutch licorice, and he thought it was disgusting.
That is the worst thing in the world. I'm not a fan of having Vegemite on its own, but I don't mind the very thin spread of it on toast to add a bit of salt. But that's about it. But I never crave it. Your licorice is the worst thing on the planet.
I can't say anything about that though, because I've never liked licorice. But Dutch people love it, and we are, I think, the country where we eat the most licorice in the world, I think. So, yeah, so Vegemite is like licorice. That's like on the same level then.
Ah, I can't describe how bad and shocking it is.
Yeah, okay, but you had double salt, and you don't like salt.
Yes.
But maybe if you had tried, because we have many different flavors, we also had like sweet licorice. Maybe you would have thought that one was okay.
I had your most extreme salty.
Yeah, you had like a really salty one.
You know what it's like? It's like seawater.
Well, that's what Vegemite is like for me.
No, but actual, like, Vegemite is like salty, almost
Grossness.
meaty barbecue, like too much salt, almost like salmon. Sardines. But your one actually, your licorice tastes like seawater, but multiplied by 10. And they like a concentrated 10 times seawater in licorice.
I should have you try raw herring one time.
That
Holland.
was. I haven't tasted anything. I'm not exaggerating. I haven't tasted anything worse in my life than your salty licorice.
Yeah.
I wanted to
can't
like
say
it.
anything about it.
I wanted to like it. I really did, but I can't stand it. All this talk about that story doesn't make me want to move back there now.
Yeah, I'm getting so nostalgic, guys, because next year I'm gonna teach Dutch at the school that I work at. So I'm like preparing all the lessons and stuff, and I'm getting so nostalgic now because like I've lived there for 2.5 years now, something like that. And like I've never really missed Holland much, like mostly just some of the food. But now I'm like, I miss the traditions and stuff now that I'm preparing lessons. So yeah.
Yeah, she's teaching Dutch next year at where she's working.
I'm going to have my dream job next year. I'm going to be now I'm working 4 days. Next year I'm going to be working 3 days, Monday to Wednesday, just like you. And I'm just going to be teaching Dutch. So it's like my absolute dream job. It's awesome. Yeah.
I tell women here, you get what you want, not what you need.
Huh?
As in, like, be direct. You'll get what you want. Like, you can't just... I think that's what he means.
Isn't it better to give someone what they need? Because what they want is not always rational.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what he means. I think he's talking in relation to being direct and indirect. There seems to be a culture in society plays a major role in relationships overall, yeah. You can't say this. You don't talk about it.
It just makes everything easier if you're direct. I feel
like what does everyone agree upon? You know, whenever you tell them, like, isn't it better to be more direct? Well, yes, but, like, okay, but isn't the most important thing to be direct? So that's at the top. all your other arguments about sensitivities and not being too harsh, like they come lower. The most important thing is clear communication and being direct. Can we all agree on that? Yes. Okay. So nothing comes above that. So to stop making it about, well, how I feel or this, or I'm too afraid to say that, so you have to guess. It's like, no, be direct.
But it can also be really annoying when people are not direct. Like, I can imagine if you're in a work situation and you're having a conversation with your supervisor and he's giving you feedback about a job that you've done or whatever, and he's being like not direct and he's like sugarcoating stuff, that would really frustrate me. Like, just tell me what I did right, what I did wrong, what I can improve. Just like be direct with me. That would really annoy me.
Yeah, I've noticed with Stephanie as well, there's moments where I'm on autopilot and I just treat her like a female that I'm used to my whole life here growing up with, the people in my family, the women I've dated, just women in general in the West. And then when I am direct with her and I think, oh, I'm being a bit harsh, you're like, I like it when you do that.
Yeah.
And so it's like I learned that, like, I wasn't being rude, but with the women I've been used to before you, it's just dancing and tiptoeing in eggshells, and I'll say a little bit of truth. Are you okay with that? Like, you're right.
Yeah, because I've said that to you, like, often, like, that you need to be direct with me, and because I like that and I'm used to that and I respond well to directness.
Yeah.
But you are way less direct with me, and if you're not direct with me, then I won't pick up on it necessarily. Yeah, so feel free to, like, don't be angry and yell at me or anything like that, but just, like, be direct and say how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, with her, there's certain real no-nos with most women in the West, like, say where they can improve. She really likes when I tell her where she can improve or she's done something wrong. Whereas most women don't tell me when I've done something wrong. They don't want to apologize. They don't want to admit fault. They don't want to improve. They don't want to get better. So you don't do those things. But with you actually, it's the opposite. It's like, give me those things. I want them.
Yeah.
I feed off them.
It's because I don't always see it myself, because I live in my head a lot. So that's also why. So you need to, like, say it directly.
Prince Revolver, I think prenups are cowardly. Yeah, that's the way to look at them as well. I kind of think if you need a prenup, you probably shouldn't get married. I understand if the guy is a multimillionaire and she's like but then if there's such a wide disparity between the two of you, your lifestyles and your financial situation, and spend enough time separate, don't marry them, live separately, whatever, until enough time goes past where you can really trust them. But I think with prenups, most of them come about where you don't know each other long and you want to get married, you love each other, you get swept up, and you just want to do it. And you're not quite sure financially, so you just put the prenup there because you don't know exactly, you don't trust them 100%.
But I do want to say, I do understand it, especially from men with, like, a lot of money. I do understand why they would want to get a prenup, though, especially if they live in Western countries.
Yeah. That example of a guy who's really successful, like a multi-millionaire, and he just marries like a normal girl with like nearly nothing. He's like, well, I've built all this up. I've got a business. It's not just me. It's my people in the whole company. There's people relying on me. I want to keep this separate from our life. And I want to do that. But if it's just a normal guy who's got his own life and the other person has, and he's got a bit more money than she, I think you shouldn't be thinking about a prenup. It's when business and big money's involved, then I think it's understandable, especially in the West, the way women act. But I do think there's something to that. I think prenups are a bit cowardly. If you're really thinking, the everyday guy I hear online, the red pill stuff.
Yeah, that's why I said I don't think, I'm not sure about this, but I feel like in Holland, we don't really talk about that much. Because it does come across weird. But I feel like in Holland, the mentality is you're going to find a partner and a teammate to build a life with. That's kind of the vibe in Holland, I feel like. And the women are like independent and a good team player as well. And then if the man is like, if he would want to talk about a prenup, then I think the woman would see that as, you're not a team player or something like that. Like, we're supposed to be in this together.
Do you hear stories before was it common to hear stories like when couples broke up where the woman would take most of his shit and make his life hell and take his kids and treat him unfairly, like after a breakup or after a marriage?
I have no idea.
You don't know.
But I'm not very social, so I don't know.
But like you didn't hear any ambient stories that like that happened, that was a common thing where women would act unfair and very like they would ruin a guy's life after a divorce or anything?
No, not ruin. No. I just don't know many people. I'm not social, so I don't know. And I only became interested in these topics after I met you, because before that I never knew anything about it.
Look, I like your naivety when you haven't been exposed to this stuff, which is good. Rocket says, even when the communication is carefully spoken so as not to be rude, it can be very uncomfortable. Yeah. Uncomfortable truths. You know, that there's a term. A lot of us avoid uncomfortable truths. A lot of us avoid uncomfortable conversations that are necessary to have. You know, it's natural. Like, we don't want to do what feels bad, but...
Yeah, look, and in those situations, I feel like Dutch people, of course, we change our tone a little bit. Like, if we have to give someone, like, very negative feedback or whatever, we're not just gonna be like, you did this wrong and this wrong and this wrong and you suck. We'll, like, we won't sugarcoat it, but we will be as nice as we can about it, but we still will be direct, you know? So we're not like assholes, but we're just direct.
Yeah, it's not like you're throwing salt on the wound.
Yeah.
You don't do that. I think in the West as well, there's this sadistic way of like, I'm just being honest, but really you're being mean. There's not a meanness to it, not a. You could tell the person's just a bit either. Well, that was socially heartless, but it wasn't like, oh, you were being a bitch or an arsehole. You were getting joy out of inflicting pain. I don't feel like Dutch people do that. I watch videos and I laugh because the guy's just being direct and he's honest, but he's just saying it in a concise way. I was watching a video the other week, you know, that funny one I showed you, where there's two guys, like an American guy and a Dutch guy, and the Dutch guy's just lying in bed half asleep, and the American guy got ready to go out, and he goes, oh, do I look good? And the guy goes, nah.
I don't like your hair.
I don't like your hair. Like your hair doesn't look good at all. And it wasn't like you look like shit or anything. He was just, nah. He was looking at him. He gave it just an honest, calm, like, nah, it doesn't look good. So the person asked an honest answer, and he gave him an honest question. He gave him an honest answer. And I was laughing because, like, that's funny. It's cool. And we need more of that. But I can understand if you're proud of yourself, like you did your hair, like, I think I look cool. Stephanie, do you think I look cool? And you're like, nah, that doesn't suit. And I'll be like, ah.
Yeah, but it's also like, I don't know if I'm the only one in this, but if someone asks me for my opinion and I don't say what I actually think, then I'm lying. Yeah. And I don't want to lie because I don't want to like compromise that, because that's like a value, I guess, that I have. And I'm not going to lie for you just to make you feel better. Like, obviously, if it's a white lie, then you can soften it a little bit or be a little bit vague about it. Sometimes there are those sensitive situations. I get that, but I'm not just going to say that something looks really good when I think it looks really bad. That's like a blatant lie. Like, I care about lying to myself. Like, I care about being truthful.
That's good, though. You should never lie to yourself. It's kind of like if there's a question and the question is, are you on this side of the fence or that side of the fence? You can be sensitive, but you should always be clear that you're on this side of the fence. You should never be like, well, to be polite, I'll pretend to be on the other side of the fence. Like, you shouldn't never lie to yourself because the person's asking your opinion.
You know what I also really find annoying? If I think, for example, if I'm like bigger, like I've gained weight or whatever, and I'm feeling insecure about how I look, and then I ask someone, oh man, this looks bad, doesn't it? Or whatever. And then they'll be like, oh no, it looks great.
You're
and
amazing, and yeah.
And it's fine. That will really fucking annoy me. Because I want you to, because you're lying. You're not acknowledging the truth, you know? I can see it in the mirror. I'm sure I know that you can see it. Just be honest with me. Like, you don't have to spare my feelings. I'm saying it myself. You know, like that's annoying.
Yeah, I notice whenever we come across like one of those woke videos or something, someone's dressed up in a certain way or they really don't look attractive. And then that American thing about like, oh, you look amazing, you look wonderful. And I laugh and she gets really annoyed because it's not the truth. It's like, oh, that annoys her. Whereas to me, it's like, oh, this is ridiculous. I laugh because it's so funny. You get really pissed off.
Yeah, like if I know I've gained weight and I don't look good or whatever, I want my partner or whoever is there to say...
Whoever you're asking.
Whoever... Yeah, it will probably be someone very close to me. But I want them to be like, yeah, but you know, you're going to really work on it now and like be positive about the future or about something else that you've achieved or whatever. But don't lie about what I'm saying. You know, like don't lie about what I look like now.
That's what I mean about the tact. There's certain situations you should always be honest. But like in that situation, don't be rude and blunt. You can still be honest and direct, but you got to say it so the person understands the statement you're saying.
It's almost like they're trying to gaslight me. You know, like literally if I'm like, oh, babe, look how much like cellulite I've got here or whatever. And you're like, oh, no, I don't see it or whatever. Like maybe you really don't see it. But if you see it, then like acknowledge it. Yeah. Because if you don't acknowledge it, then I'm like, are you like trying to gaslight me or whatever?
I think a lot of people in the West, they don't communicate directly, and that's where all the problems stem from. Because a lot of people ask questions, and they're not really asking a question. They're saying, make me feel good, validate me, and give me an answer that I like. But you here, directness is really like, I'm asking you a question, and I want an honest answer. Don't hurt me. Don't make me feel bad, but I want an answer. Like, I feel insecure. I'm asking you a question. I want your opinion, but I'm not saying make me feel good. Because I've told you, I've had this problem with exes as well, where they ask my opinion, I give my opinion, and they do the opposite. And it's like, just tell me, then don't ask me for my opinion. Just tell me what you want me to say or do. Yeah. That's part of that frustration with being indirect and playing these games.
Licorice jerky. That would be double gross.
Probably nicer than Dutch licorice. At least there's it tastes like a little bit of meat in that. Coagulated duck eggs.
That sounds gross.
Wouldn't that be dangerous? Coagulated duck eggs, aren't they duck eggs that have gone off?
Ew, really?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Spice Girls, Taylor Swift. Oh, you're saying Spice Girls is better than Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
If so, yeah, I obviously agree with that. I used to be a fan of the Spice Girls when I was young.
I think today people are very divided. They're either with Taylor Swift or against her. There's no middle ground.
I don't like her.
I'm not a fan. I don't know much about her. Don't care. It can be very challenging to live in a society that is not direct when you are direct. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Women think I'm being aggressive when I'm direct. Oh, yeah, I can understand how that could be the case, yeah.
Should I get a prenup? Maybe a therapist?
That should probably be an adventure rocket scientist, not a marriage.
Yeah. What you want with the stripper is not what you're going to get in a marriage.
Rocket's voice is like thunder. He makes people uncomfortable. That's funny. Sit up straight.
Yeah. Yeah, people want you just to confirm their bias. They don't communicate. They don't know how to have a conversation where they listen actively and hear. And as such, direct communication suffers. Because you might be direct and you like the honesty of that, but the other person is falsely having a conversation with you because they're asking you a question, but that's not what they mean. Like, Stephanie, how do I look in this? And you're like, oh, it's okay if you actually think it's okay. Or no, I think it doesn't match with that. Like, you're just being very neutral. Your comments not being like overly critical or disinterested, just like a very matter-of-fact comment. But a lot of people just want you to make them feel good.
Yeah, sometimes people are also too nice. Like, I'll ask a very direct question, and then I'll just get a very nice answer, but it doesn't actually answer my question. Like, I have an example in the office. Like, I wanted to eat, like, boiled eggs in the office, but I usually don't. I eat it somewhere else because usually it stinks, kind of. So, and I wanted to try it in the office, see if anyone could smell it. So I was eating them, and I asked, like, another colleague, can you smell my eggs? And she was like, oh, it doesn't matter, eat your food. And I was like, yeah, but can you smell them? Oh, no, it's lunch break, you should eat your food. And I'm like, and then I asked another colleague, like, can you smell my eggs? And she was like, no, can't smell anything. Okay, like, answer the question.
Yeah, like when you're, like, it happens to me sometimes when you ask me a question, I go into the default. Like, you care about the person, you want to be nice, and you answer the question indirectly with this ambience of politeness and niceness. It's like, no, they just want a yes or a no.
Can you give me an example? Or?
Not off the top of my head, but often when I'm very comfortable and you're asking a question that just requires a yes or a no, I add like a lot of spice and polite sort of stuff around it and feel good stuff around it and whatever, and it doesn't require it.
Okay. Well, I know that whenever you ask for my opinion, I always say what I think. Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of times, remember when I've finished the video or a thumbnail and I'm trying to decide between the two, like I'll get an objective opinion because you're not just going to give me opinion on, oh, you're great, babe, everything you do is wonderful. Yeah. It's like, but I respond to that one better, or I don't think that one is really in line with what you're talking about. You know, you're just
yeah, because obviously I try to be aware of this is your personal project and I shouldn't be too blunt with feedback, but at the same time I want to give you honest feedback and my honest opinion about what you're doing. So for me it's kind of like balancing those two.
Yeah, again, it's like if you care about me, if you just give me a fluffy answer to make me feel good, you're lying. You're actually doing something dishonest with me. Like if you cared about me, you try and help me. I'm asking for your help. You're not helping by going, oh, everything's great. It's like, that's not, it's like your colleague.
Yeah.
You know, does it smell? Oh, everything's great. It's all fun. And what? Like, that's not what I'm asking, you know?
Yeah. But sometimes that's just how people are. Like people are different. And sometimes people just, they don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. So then you'll actually have to say, listen, I want your honest opinion. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Please just tell me exactly what you think. Do you think blah, 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 blah. Sometimes you need to lead them into it like that. Yeah. Do I look fat in these pants? Yeah. Like I want an honest answer, you know, because else I wouldn't ask it if I didn't want an honest answer.
What are the benefits of directness?
It saves time, it's honest, and you just get to the point quicker.
Yeah, it creates clarity and avoids misunderstandings.
Yeah.
Demonstrates respect as well. But that also depends on the person. Some people just want validation and want approval, like Rocket said here. So it depends on the person. Sometimes people, they just want to be made to feel good. They don't actually care about the truth. It creates trust amongst people. Yeah, you get to trust the person. You know that you can go to a person to get an honest and direct answer.
Yeah, but what he says, that's fine, but it depends on whether the person you're asking is actually going to be honest or not. Because I might ask something and I'll want your approval or I'll want like a positive answer, but it's up to the person answering the question whether he's going to be honest or not. Like if he thinks something negative, then he should say something negative.
Yeah, it's almost like the person who's being indirect is sabotaging the question answer dynamic.
Yeah, but I guess what he probably means is like, I want you to give me a positive answer because I want you to make me feel good. That's why I'm asking the question, not because I want an honest answer. That's probably what he means actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm asking you but please don't make me feel bad. It's like, well, I don't know you. I don't know how you feel at the moment. I think the safest way people is the safest answer people give if they don't really know the person is to be more indirect and polite. That's the safest way to answer a question to someone you don't know.
Yeah, but you can say something in a nice way and still be direct. You know, like if I put on a dress and it looks horrible and my fat is poking out everywhere or whatever, like it's a super tight dress, and I ask you, oh, does this look okay? And you're like, babe, it's a bit like, you know, why don't you wear that red dress that you have?
It's a bit revealing, or it doesn't fit you properly.
Yeah, don't just say it looks amazing and then it looks stupid outside.
But that's what I said about, like, you know, if someone makes some food for you, it's like, no, I don't like it. It's like, no, I don't like it. It's not for me. You don't have to apologize and dance around it, but it's just like, just make it very clear why you don't like it. That's honest. You know, you don't have to kind of bullshit them and say it's wonderful.
I also don't know why that's so offensive. Like, there are people in the world that don't like every food on the planet.
It's because a person put in effort. And if you're dismissive, a person's like, well, I put in this effort, and it comes off as rude. It's like if you did something for me and I'm just, no. You know? It's disheartening when you're with a woman and she cares more about what the world thinks of her and not what you think while simultaneously asking for your opinion. Relationship killer. Yeah. But that can be a woman thing as well. Sometimes you might know what the truth is, but you can't get over how you feel. But a lot of women care more about what the world thinks of them, what other women will think of them.
Instead of what her partner thinks? Or what?
Yeah. He says it's disheartening when you're with a woman, she cares more about what the world thinks of her and not what you think, while simultaneously asking you for your opinion. So it's almost like she wants you to answer the way the world answers.
Yeah.
That's kind of annoying.
I'm still thinking about what you just said to me.
About
responding to not liking food. And I'm starting to see your point of view more. Yeah.
Well, think about something that's important to you, right? You value a lot, and you ask the person, what if I was just like very blunt and direct and dismissive about something that's really important to you? You'd hope that I would clarify just to make sure that I'm giving the honest answer. I'm not babying you, but I'm not just being, I don't care enough about this question. I'm going to give you the shortest dismissive answer. In the situation, you have to realize, like, this person cares about this, or this person made food for me. They spent all this time, and I'm like, nah, no. Do you like it? Nah. And that's it. Like, it's like, oh, okay. Anything else? Like, you don't know.
Yeah, but it is a little different because, like, I'm thinking of that situation where your mom made, like, a pancake that I didn't like. Remember?
Yeah, you didn't like the pancake.
Yeah, and I think I said something like, I don't really like it. Mm-hmm. But we've eaten there many, many times, and I've always enjoyed her cooking. So I feel like that's clear that this is just one thing with what she put in the pancake, that's something that I don't like.
I come back to until a person knows you, I think when you're with strangers, you can't assume the level of directness that they accept and how thick their skin is and how objective they are or how emotional they are. So you have to be honest and clearly communicate your honesty. You can't assume that a very short answer is going to suffice.
No, but what I mean is if I meet someone for the first time and they make me something, then I probably wouldn't say, I would probably put a bit more effort into it and say, oh, it's not really for me or something like that.
Yeah, you give your honest opinion and why, because they don't know you. But once they know you, you don't have to give the why. They know.
Yeah, but that's how I feel like with your mom.
Yeah, now they know you a bit more.
Yeah, so...
But I'm saying initially, especially, I think it's critical before you know people. You can't just be as direct and honest as you would to someone like you and I know each other really well. I can't be as direct and joking, even with my humor, anything. Like, I have to have a bit of social intelligence. And when I meet someone, I have to feel them out. And when I give an honest answer, I have to, lay it out in a sentence rather than 2 or 3 words. You understand 2 or 3 words of direct response. Another person, I don't know them, so I have to explain my honest answer properly so they know exactly where I'm coming from.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So with strangers, I might put some more effort in and explain it a bit more. But I feel like with family, they know I'm always enjoying the food. There are certain things that I may not eat or that I may not like, and I feel like that's normal.
Yeah. Once a person knows you. But I'm talking more about when people don't know. The most uncomfortable moments are socially when you really don't know the person well. So it's better to be a bit more polite without being dishonest.
No, I know, but who cares about that? Because you don't even know those people. But because I thought the big deal was about like with your family or with people we know, when I'm being blunt with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there I'm saying, because also with my family, like if someone makes something and I don't like it, it's normal to say you don't like it, but it's family.
Sure, but you could see some people, they might require a little adjustment in your answer. Like we said, say one of your family members is bigger. You can't just joke about fat people.
That's different. That's something
That's what I mean.
different.
Like, if you know that someone who's really got pride in their cooking and they don't appreciate bluntness as much as you appreciate giving it, you might need to like...
Yeah, maybe it's just a cultural thing then. I don't know.
But also, like
I'm out. No, because it's difficult to navigate sometimes. Like, yeah. I don't know. I'm tired.
Tired of direct questions. Do you want me to give you an indirect feel-good?
You know what? I'll just say it's not for me instead of I don't like it. That's almost the same.
Here's a direct question that many people don't like. Are you happy? I wouldn't say a lot of people don't like that.
Why not? But that's a very personal question, I feel like.
Why wouldn't a lot of people like that question? Unless they're really not happy and they don't want to be confronted.
That's probably it.
Yeah, they don't want to really be honest about, are you happy?
Yeah.
Are you happy, babe?
Yes.
I'm happy. That's great.
You. No, thank you.
Yeah, that would probably, the Vegemite would probably make it taste better. I'm really hanging it on Dutch licorice. See, the thing is, like, I think I kept the packet around it, like, as a joke. It's like, I want to keep this around and get people to try it, just as, like, they can go, oh, my God, this is the worst thing I've ever had. Anyway. All right. What are the drawbacks of being direct?
Well, all the things I walk into, I guess. Yeah, the drawbacks are that when you talk to other people who are not as direct as you, then it can come across as rude. But also sometimes if you're very direct, you may struggle with that line of crossing into being rude also. Those may be some drawbacks, yeah.
When should we be direct versus being honest and less direct? I think that's contextual.
Yeah, like I give an example of like a baby. Like if you visit someone who's just had a baby and they're like, look at my baby, and it's like butt ugly. You're not gonna say that. You're not gonna go, what's that?
But I'm Dutch and I'm being direct.
Yeah, well, obviously, then you would just like if you think the baby is like really ugly, you'll just start talking to the baby or like comment on the clothes or whatever. You'll do something else. You won't say that.
Because the way I look at it as well is that you can be very blunt and direct and say, well, this is me, this is the truth, and I don't care what other people feel. Then you really shouldn't be around people, because if you want to be around people and enjoy your time with them, you have to kind of read the situation and people and meet them part way. It can't just be your way of communicating.
Yeah, but that's also a point that we talked about yesterday, that it also depends on your personality. Like, because my sister is very different from me, and she's less direct than I am. But if you have a direct personality, but you are very social and very caring, you are gonna handle that directness. That directness is gonna come across differently than with me, for example. I'm not that social. I don't care too much about things. And so I may come across too blunt sometimes, you know? So I may struggle more with not crossing the line sometimes than my sister, for example. You know, so there's directness, but there's also your personality. Yeah.
Yeah, your sister's very different to you.
Yeah. My sister's very nice. Very nice. I'm horrible. No kidding.
When we see your family in a few weeks, you should rub yourself up against your sister a little bit more.
What do you mean?
Maybe she'll rub off on you. Many people pretend to be happy. I think happiness is a result. It's not something you can actually aim for. You do things that you're proud of and you know you should do. When you do life properly, you get happiness. So happiness is a byproduct of living life well and doing the right thing and being proud of yourself. But you can't just aim for happiness arbitrarily, I don't think. I don't think it works that way.
Is Mille, is he Dutch or no?
Mele Nico. No, he's a European. I think either Italian.
He looks like he could be. Yeah, or Italian. He looks like he could be Italian too. He looks European, that's true.
Anytime human talks about being direct, I think back to all the times I was indirect in my relationship and how it contributed to my failures. Yeah. And how much you ignored, like, see, all the guys talk about red flags. Red flags is all you notice something and you're indirect and you don't say anything and you don't address the issue and then you let it go and you stay with the wrong person and stuff left unsaid. And it's like, that's all indirectness. If we were more direct, we'd have less horror stories, less bad relationships, because we'd cut them off straight away. We'd say enough. We'd assert our boundaries. We would say no when we have to. We'd say yes when we have to. You know, the girls or guys will go up to who's attractive to them. It's like just be direct.
Yeah.
You know, life is simpler. It's less romantic, less of this bullshit that you get in romance movies. So you get less of that.
Yeah, it's a really good trait to have. Yeah.
Yep. I think people in the West, because they don't like being direct, because there's a lot more uncomfortableness with being direct. You have to have uncomfortable conversations. You have to go up to the girl or the guy that you really like. You have to, with someone that the relationship's not working, you have to have the uncomfortable conversation that's got to end. Tragedy, like there's all these uncomfortable conversations and approaches. But when you're direct, it is uncomfortable, but right after the necessary directness, the discomfort goes away. You break up, you get with the right person, you get over the hump. If you stop, indirectness is avoidance. I've been used to a lot of avoidance in my life. My culture encourages avoidance. Your culture encourages directness, and you're wired very directly to the point of sometimes being a bit blunt and direct.
Yeah.
So yours, the West could do with more of Holland. So,
Yeah, I find that difficult when people are very indirect, because it causes a very big gap between us, I feel like. And then I just feel like I can't connect or something.
And broken promises and stuff. Like right from the start when we got to know each other, whatever we said, whatever we voiced and promised and said we felt and how we wanted to proceed, it was always that. And then we followed up and that's what we did. Like it's direct. It's like, yeah, this is how I feel. Not like, I feel this way, but I shouldn't say anything to her because girls think this when you say this. And it's like, no, this is how I feel. This is what I want to say. I'll say it.
It's funny though how you are not necessarily very direct, but with me you were.
Yeah, because I recognize there was nothing to be worried about with you. You're very open and direct. Up is up and down is down, and like
Well, that's good, because if you hadn't been open like that with me, then this probably wouldn't have happened.
No, but also I recognize as soon as I started talking to you, even via text before we started talking like this, is that you were so different to other girls. And not because, like, you know, guys think, well, the next girl's always different to the previous one. You were just a whole different animal. It's like you're used to looking at deer, and then all of a sudden you see, I don't know, a cat or a bird or something completely different. You know, it's like, whoa, this is very, very different. So that's when I realized, like, yeah, I can just be myself. And also because you were overseas, it's like, yeah, there's nothing to lose because nothing's going to happen. And then I was completely open with you. You're completely open with me. And then something developed afterwards. There was no expectations when we started to talk. So we had the benefit of that too. Yeah. But I think it's also, I was used to so much of this indirect game playing with women and relationships that I was done. And then when I started talking to you, you didn't show any bit of the same things I was done with. So say, for instance, you're done with working for a bad boss, and all bosses are the same and they make you work overtime or whatever, and you all of a sudden you don't want to work anymore. You're done with working because all bosses are the same. And then you meet someone, they go, oh, come work for me. And they're a really nice person. I'm a boss. So like, you're really a cool person. Like, you're a person that could be my friend. I said to myself, I'm never working again because I don't like bosses, but you're actually a good person. And you know what? Objectively, you're different. I might try working for you because you're not a boss. You know, and then, you know, that's what I mean. Your personality was refreshing for a woman because you were direct, and, you know, I could just say anything and there was no passive aggressive. And this is what I will say about you and Dutch people. I don't feel any shame around you at all. And that's a big thing that men in the West feel. Women are always shaming them. Society's shaming them. With you, you never shame me. I never felt there was any shame with men in Dutch culture. There was never any ambient shame.
Yeah, but you know why? It's because women expect so much from men. It's stupid. And I feel like Dutch women, because we are very independent, we can take care of ourselves. We don't need you to take care of us per se. So we don't shame you because we're doing our thing and you're doing your thing. And we don't expect you guys, we don't expect things from you per se.
I think you guys see the guy realistically. Like, I like the guy, this is what he is, so why should I expect more from him than what he is? Whereas with Western women, it's like, I like you, you better become this thing.
Yeah. And you better give me this. And with Dutch women, that's not the case. Because I feel like we also carry the load. And we are also responsible for ourselves and our roles. And we can take care of ourselves. That's just a different mentality, I feel like.
Western culture lies to itself to pretend everything is all right as opposed to facing it. Yeah.
I also think it's very lame to always expect something from the other sex. Like, it's not a good thing. Like, why can't you take care of yourself? Why can't someone you meet be an addition to your life instead of he has to take care of you and do all these things for you? Like, it's really lame.
Well, there's also, we've talked about this before, there's a level of interdependence when you're with someone. You can't be independent.
No, I'm not saying independent, but interdependent, that's good. But that's something very different from the woman just expecting stuff from the man.
Yeah, like entitled, like I'm a celebrity and everyone is like going to be showering me with praise and gifts. And
but I think that they think it's, oh, I deserve this. But I actually see it as weakness. Like, you're being lame. Like, take care of yourself.
You're a child, yeah.
Yeah.
That needs to be taken care of. Well, I noticed it in the comments on my other channel. Whenever I talk about relationships and partners, because I see it as partners insofar as I don't want to be carrying more load. Like, I want someone who's constantly in the loop of us taking care of our relationship. You know, I don't want you to be dead weight, and I don't want to be dead weight. We're both contributing, and we're both proud of our relationship, right? But people online, oh, LOL, partner, only gay people call each other partner, or like there's this thing that a guy should be in charge all the time. and his woman is just tagging along. She's not his partner because he's in charge of his life himself. And if she wants to be part of his life, she can. If not, she can piss off. It's just this whole separate mentality. I think, why do you want to be with someone? Like, who can you talk to?
I don't know why American people have such a problem with the word partner. It's just a different type of relationship than the man is like, with those like super specific male and female roles. It's just a different type of relationship. It also works.
Because what other word are you supposed to use?
I mean, it's nice to have like that whole mentality of like the man takes care of everything and then the woman is like does the household and everything. That's nice if it works, but I feel like the good thing about how we do things in Holland and like we see each other more as equals and we're partners is that we go into a relationship and a marriage feeling like we're teammates. And we are here together to build a future. I think that's a really good mentality to have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know why people have such a problem with partner.
Yeah, I don't know. When should you be direct and honest versus being less direct?
Whenever you can. Most of the time, I think you should only be less direct when it's about something kind of sensitive.
Yeah.
Or you don't want to like hurt the other person. You want to be a little bit more mindful. Other than that, you should always just be direct, I feel like.
Like if you see the situation and the person, like, you know what they're like, or you don't want to come across differently, but you don't care and you're just blunt, then you're being rude. But if you're just interested in being honest, then...
Yeah, and it's also about how much you like the person. Because I do notice that, like, if I really like someone, I'm going to be way more mindful of how I say something than if I don't really know someone that well and they just ask me a question. I'm going to be more direct and blunt with that person. So, yeah.
The differences between the Netherlands and Australia, what I've already mentioned this, I think I feel like there's less shame. I felt no shame at all between the male-female dynamic with you, first of all. But then also, it's just very, like you said, fair, balanced, people on the same level. They acknowledge the differences where life is unfair. Sorry, you're a guy and I'm a girl, you know? And it's like, there's unfairness and differences in life, but also the way we treat each other, there's a respect as well. So I felt like there's less shame in the West. The whole indirect game playing, it enables so much shame between people. You just feel bad because you feel bad. Someone made you feel bad. There's no reason why. But in Holland, there was very, very little shame, I felt, if any. Like either something's right or it's wrong or it's fair or it's real. And that's all it is. How you feel doesn't matter. It is what it is.
I feel like in Holland, whenever we're talking about shame, it's more about how people behave in society. That's where we might shame people, because when someone's acting like really inappropriate or doing bad stuff, that's where we will shame people because we want to have a good society, but not when it comes to like roles of a man or what women expect from a man. I don't feel like we do that.
Yeah. And it's also realistically not picking your partner. If you're so beholden to like a woman needs to do this, 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 and this, and you really like someone, but they don't have these qualities, then sorry, if you're not fair about it, then go pick someone else. If you've just got arbitrary, like if you don't care who you pick, like it would be nice for you to have extra qualities, like bonus qualities, but you've got all the good qualities that I need as a person to get along with, you know? But some people, they just go in there, they don't communicate, they're very direct and almost stubborn about qualities they want in a partner, but it's unrealistic, you know? I think the fair partner thing is when you see your partner properly, you like them for who they are, and you're okay with the trade-offs. But anyway, I'm getting off topic here.
Let's go through these. Shame in the West for men. Stop being a man. Be more like a woman. Also be a man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just a circus over there.
Yeah, I want him to be soft and sensitive, but I also want him to be strong and masculine and take charge. But don't tell me what to do. You can't. It's just like up, down. Like, please, can you just pick a side? Like, how do you want me to be?
Yeah. Each should complement the other naturally.
And you should talk.
Yeah. An example of directness, many people here love going to Bali. They ask me to go. I say no, not interested. They get a shock.
Yeah.
Huh? Like they invite you to go to Bali and you said no, not
Yeah.
interested.
He doesn't want to go and they get shocked or annoyed or something.
Why? Like, who asked you?
Oh, people he knows. People who love going. So they love Bali, and because you're not, you know, that polite directness, they're like, oh, I love Bali. You want to go to Bali? Let's go to Bali. He's like, no, I don't like Bali. And they feel like, oh, that's impolite.
Okay.
Like you should want to come to Bali. That's a bit rude.
It's not rude. You may not understand why he doesn't like Bali or doesn't want to go there, but it's not rude when you just give your opinion. People are too sensitive. Oh. People take issue with the word partner because it's associated with LGBT. Oh, really? Is it that? Is it because of that?
Yeah, it's a non-specific partner. It could be anything. It could be business partner, gay partner. It's just a general one. But the problem is that there's no other thing. I'm an older guy. I'm not going to call you my girlfriend. You're not a girl.
Yeah, like if we were married, I would call you my partner.
Yeah.
Yeah, because boyfriend, you're...
Partner still encapsulates everything, every person you're with, from business to married to whatever. But if you're just dating as an older person, like a lot of, I hear older people, oh, they're my girlfriend. I had a girlfriend. It's like, it's not really a girlfriend. She's a woman friend, and that sounds stupid. My woman friend.
Yeah, that's not a word. IMO, I don't know what that is.
In my opinion.
Oh, shame can be a form of manipulation. Oh, yeah. Good or bad.
Well, the easiest definition for shame versus guilt for me is guilt is you've actually done something wrong. So that's objectively accurate. Like guilt, you should feel guilty when you did something wrong. Shame is someone's trying to make you feel wrong. So guilt is I did something wrong. Shame is I am something wrong. You just feel shamed.
Yeah. I feel like shame doesn't work well on me.
No, with me it doesn't anymore, but I used to accept shame, and especially when it's coming from people you like or respect, you believe them because you trust them and you like them. And you don't feel, oh, I'm always screwing up. Why can't I do this properly? Why can't... And then you...
I feel like shame is also a choice, though. Because I feel like if people shame me, then because I always reflect on everything, I'm going to think, okay, are they right? But if I'm like, no, I didn't do anything wrong here, then I just like reject it. You know? So if you're getting shamed but you feel like you didn't do anything wrong, then you shouldn't like...
Yeah, but you have to have the clarity to realize that a lot of people just go along with the flow. You know, like think about it, like in the West, especially if you're a child growing up, your parents take care of you and you listen to everything they say. So if they shame you and say, bad boy, you don't do that. Like a dog, the dog just feels shame when it knows.
Yeah, okay, when you're a kid, that's a bit different.
And then you get used to that. Like whenever a woman or authority figure, like bad person's like, oh, I feel bad. I did something wrong. You don't have the mental thing to go, hang on. No, you're wrong. I didn't. Like, I shouldn't feel bad.
Yeah, it depends on your personality, how easily you let yourself be shamed, I guess. I don't care much about stuff, so I don't easily get shamed. But I can imagine someone who's more sensitive and more social and cares more about what people think, they can get shamed more easily. Probably, yeah.
What kind of communication do you and I prefer? The Dutch way or the Western way?
The Dutch way, obviously.
I would say mostly the Dutch way.
Yeah.
There's small situations, contextual and like very social and whatever that can come across cold and very blunt and antisocial because of the bluntness. But overall, I would say mostly Dutch, yeah.
Like between us, you mean, or?
Generally, the Dutch, not between you and me, but say you're not very social, like, and I can be social easier than you. But then you're the same mode here as you are socially. I can adjust to social situations. You find it sometimes unnatural.
Yeah. Babe, I gotta go.
Really?
Can I go? I have to go really bad.
All right. She's being direct. All right.
You can keep talking.
All right, go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. We said we're going to do this. All right. Examples of Dutch people being okay with directness compared to Westerners. I put down a few comments like, do I look nice in this outfit? Does my ass look too big? And we would say, no, it looks fine. But Dutch people, or Stephanie would go, no, it doesn't look good. No, I don't think it looks good. Try the other one. Like, it's just very matter of fact. We're not trying to make you... I think in the West, everyone's really concerned. Let me make sure I sugarcoat everything first as much as possible, so it's always sweet. Every answer is sweet. Every answer is sweet, which I think sometimes wastes time, gives people a vague answer. For instance, with myself, I'm often concerned with communicating more concisely. I talk a lot, and I really admire YouTubers who can get to the point quicker than I can. Yeah, I can do streams for a long time because I can talk my, a leg off a chair. But I think it's the same way when you're communicating directly. You use fewer words to get to the point more accurately. Yeah, because everyone's doing it. Yeah, that's actually a point, Rocket. In Asian countries, they're so polite and indirect. I'm going to mention it to Stephanie. I can hear her. I think she's going to come back in a second. But I think that, yeah, babe, this is a point. The Asian countries like Japan, they're probably the most indirect. So they're probably the opposite to Holland.
Oh, are
Japan, they're so polite and formal, and that because I've known a couple of Chinese guys at my workplace,
yeah,
and they would never speak up to their mother, father. The woman rules out. Like, they're always dancing around things and politely and bowing, and one-on-one between me and the guy, they'll be honest, but they could never be that way to their mothers, partners, but like authority. There's a structure. They can never be as open as they can with their male friends.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So that's actually a good point. Yeah. In Japan, directness is considered shameful.
Oh, wow. I shouldn't go to Japan then.
Yeah. I'd love to go to Japan, but I've got to like put a muzzle on you or something.
You could just leave me in the hotel.
You'll be like, what's that chick on Lost in Translation? I just leave you in the hotel and I go around the city.
Yeah, but also because, did you move more towards me? I feel like you
probably
moved. Yeah. I feel like I know that you would like to go to Japan.
Yeah.
But
you like sushi.
Yeah, but we can get sushi anywhere. Like, if you really wanted to go, I would obviously go with you, but I have zero interest in going to Japan.
It's a beautiful country. She's being polite now.
No, it's just like, it's so busy. And I'm not really
busy, clean, and yeah, I just find it interesting. I want to go once.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go once.
We'll we would have to go to a very safe place though. Then
Japan's pretty safe.
Yeah.
It's very organized. They're very strict rules.
Well, I guess I do really like sushi.
Even their gangsters, the Yakuza, are very respectful with the police. So I've heard. What do I know?
Let's just behave.
Yep.
I would have to do like a training and a course and get a degree in being less blunt and not getting in trouble in Japan.
Being more human.
Yeah.
Shame doesn't work on me either. Melee says, I would say the Dutch way is similar to the Balkans way. No. My heritage is from the Balkans. We really care what others think, and there's a lot of appropriate behavior. So, no. Their upbringing and respect amongst like how families are raised and how you treat elders and stuff like, there's a lot of similarities there. But the Balkan culture cares a lot about other people's opinions and the appropriate way, and it's better to be indirect and polite than to be direct and consider offending somebody. So
yeah, I don't like it when families are very like formal. I don't know. I feel like within your family, there should be respect and everything, of course, but you should be able to just be yourself and be silly and stuff like that. That's nice. I would go, oh, you sound happy when you talk to your wife. Yay. Well, that's good. I'm doing something right.
I would go to Japan for tech. Go in the fall, go to the countryside, see the cherry blossom. Ooh, nice, yeah. It's just the images of like the temples and the beautiful trees and the colorful flowers, the train system that's like pinpoint accurate, it's always on time, everything. And there are polite people as well.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just a different world. It'd be nice to see once.
Yeah, if you wanted to go, I would go. But yeah, I'll be going for you.
Yeah. Yeah, you can stay in the hotel room as much as you want. I'll go around with my camera.
I don't want you to go alone. I'm always afraid in like countries I don't really know or wouldn't really necessarily want to go to. They always scare me a little bit. I always feel like something's going to go wrong.
All right, just tag along. Come
Yeah.
with me. We go get sushi.
Yeah.
Take a few photos.
Yeah. I'll just focus on all the good things.
All right. Some examples of Dutch questions. I mentioned, do I look fat in this? You would say no or yes. Or do I like the soup you made? Dutch would go, no. But then, depending on someone, if you just met them. Do you think, Stephanie, do you think they're attractive? Or
No.
do you think I'm attractive or something like, no, you're not my type or something? Like you wouldn't say, oh, you're nice, but not for me. And you wouldn't like put too much sugar coating around it.
I think this depends. Like if you would ask me, do I think that person is attractive, but it's like a picture, I would just say yes or no. But if like someone's sitting across from me and they're asking, do you think this person right here is attractive? And if I don't think they're attractive, then I'll probably say something like that they're not my type or something. I won't be like that blunt.
You know what you're like? You're like Dutch licorice, but you got more salt on you. Dutch don't sugarcoat anything, so there's no sugar on licorice. So most Dutch are neutral licorice. You're the one with a lot of salt on it. It's like you need to reduce the salt. A Dutch custom would be, it's okay to ask someone what they would like for their birthday or Christmas gift. And it's completely like, they don't, in fact, sometimes you don't like a surprise. To pretend like someone gave you something and you don't like it. It's like, you got to pretend now, oh, thanks, it's great. I'll wear this. It's like, no, I won't.
Yeah. Yeah, it just like, then you don't have to think about what to get the person, because that can be really annoying sometimes.
And you don't have to lie and say you like it when you don't.
Something else that foreigners find really weird about Dutch people, I've heard, is that in Holland, we've got this app called Tikkie, where we can, like, let's say we went out for dinner and I paid, then I can send the other person a Tikkie with like an amount of money that they need to pay me back. And it's like an app. And then you can put your account number in and you can wire money like that.
If one person paid for dinner and the other person couldn't, whatever, and they owe money.
Yeah, so you give each other your bank accounts, and then you can just via this app very easily, you can request, for example, if you owe me 20 euros, I'll make a Tikkie for 20 euros, send it to you, and then you can pay me back that way via the app.
So is it like PayPal? Like you send a money request? Like you request money from that person?
Yeah, kind of, I guess.
And so Tikkie, you're on your app, on your Tikkie app, it goes, Bobby requested like $20 from you. Do you accept or deny?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's like kind of like a...
But I've heard that people think that's weird that we exchange bank account numbers sometimes.
Yeah, but it's not like the other person can just take money out of your account.
No.
Yeah, the West has a really weird thing about like money and hiding it and stuff.
Yeah, but they are also so suspicious about many things, and I think that says a lot about their society.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
All right. I think we've talked a bit. We've been going for nearly 2 hours, babe.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Including your toilet break. How do you say bathroom, toilet in Dutch?
Toilet or wc.
A lot of your language sounds very French.
I learned this, right? I was so surprised. We have so many words are from French, from the French language. And when I looked it up, I was like, all these words that I've known all my life in Dutch. And then they're like, yeah, these words are actually from French. And then I'm like, oh yeah, that makes total sense.
So you've got French words in your language. It's not like the French took them from
No.
Yeah, the other way. So you took them from France.
Yeah.
Wonder why that
I never knew that.
Because I understand why you've got a lot of German influence because you're close to Germany, but why France?
I don't remember. I would have to look it up.
Maybe to do with trade or something back in the day, in the 17th century or whenever it was. All right.
Wasn't there something we had to do at the end? Oh, didn't you want to look back at this year or something?
Ah, yeah. We're, like this morning I was saying it would have been good if we thought about it to do this stream about reflecting on 2024. But it's a lot of pressure now. Now I've got to think of everything.
I think it's more fun to do it in January when we come back to talk about 2025.
Yeah, like recap. What was 2020? Yeah, start of 2025. It's good. It's like New Year's resolutions. Like, what's 2025 going to be like? What plans do we have? Things like that.
Holland women banned in Japan for being too direct. The locals say she grew 200 feet tall and started breathing fire. What?
Godzilla.
Oh.
Vikings invaded France and stole their swords.
Their words.
Their words.
But the Vikings are Norway.
Sweden.
No, Norway. Vikings are from Norway.
But I thought Sweden as well. No?
I don't know about Sweden, but I know they're from Norway.
Yeah, I know Norway as well. But that whole region was...
I don't know. But I have learned that, I also learned that Dutch is the closest language to English, which kind of... Well, I guess now that I think about it, it doesn't surprise me per se.
Insofar as many words are similar.
Yeah.
But the way you speak them, it doesn't sound anywhere near. Like your language sounds more like German. But the words that are similar to English, yeah, there are a lot of similar words.
Yeah.
Like whenever I say, oh, how do you say this in Dutch? And you'll say the word and it's like, oh, that's almost like English. Like,
yeah, we also have a lot of words that you write exactly the same and they mean exactly the same thing. We just pronounce it differently. Like water, water, hand, hand, those kind of words. We have a lot of those words.
Garage?
Garage.
Yeah, and that's almost French. Like there's a lot
of... That's the word from France.
Yeah.
Garage, yeah. Also like umbrella is parapluie in Holland. And that's also from French.
It sounds French. If I heard that word, I would say it's French.
Yeah, like a trottoir, croissant,
that's all.
Bureau. That means desk. That's also a word from French.
I would have thought bureau would be biro, like pen.
No.
What's pen?
Pen.
Okay.
Pen.
Ben.
Yeah. And then we also have a lot of words like t-shirt is t-shirt. Jeans.
You know which one word I think every European says the same is fantastic. It almost sounds, all of them use the English word.
Fantastisch.
And Serbian is fantastično. So it's always that the core word is always the same in every European language almost.
Yeah. And I think Spanish is fantástico.
And I bet your language is the same as that. We use the word super in our own language. You'll say super something and you'll use it.
Super, yeah.
Yeah. Same in Serbian, same in a lot of languages.
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be really fun teaching Dutch next year.
Yeah.
I'm super excited.
But this is our last stream until next year.
You're like, quick, let me stop her before she starts going off about... I've been talking so much about school and Dutch and everything.
I'm usually the one that needs to be stopped talking. I talk all the time. You've been very verbal and vocal and...
yeah, because I'm so excited about it. Yeah. I'm like passionate about it, you know.
All right. So, yeah, we'll be back probably In the first...
The 6th of January, I think we're coming back.
No,
Or the 9th.
9th, but then we're going to have a week off. So basically...
For about 3 weeks, we'll be gone.
In the second or third week of January, we'll be back with the stream. So somewhere there.
Yeah, probably the second week of January, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Anyway, we'll post it. And everyone have a great Christmas. Happy New Year. Go, say it in Dutch.
It's too early though, but gelukkig nieuwjaar. That means
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah.
And Christmas?
Heb een fijne kerst.
Oh, okay. All right. We will see you later. Have a great weekend, everyone. And enjoy your holidays. And we will too. Oh, I'm not looking forward to the plane trip. You do.
I don't mind the plane trip.
She loves it. She loves being squashed in the seat between me and the window somewhere. Like she just likes burrowing in like a dachshund.
I think it's because I like structure and organization. And like on the plane, the flights are organized, like where everyone's sitting is organized. You get your meals a certain time. I like the structure of it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We'll have fun. You guys enjoy your holidays as well. Have a lot of fun. And yeah, we'll see you in the new year.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.